In Cairo this weekend, negotiators from multiple nations gathered to push for a temporary halt to the ongoing conflict between Israel and Hamas. Amidst this diplomatic push, Hamas sent a delegation, expressing optimism after assessing the proposals for a ceasefire. However, Israel remains firm, with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu emphasizing that the conflict will not end without the dismantling of Hamas in Gaza. The intermediary efforts led by Egypt and Qatar have focused on brokering a temporary ceasefire that would involve the exchange of hostages. Hamas would release Israeli hostages in exchange for Palestinian prisoners held in Israeli jails. Despite some progress, a full agreement seems days away, with critical sticking points regarding the duration and terms of any ceasefire. CIA Director William Burns, who has played a crucial role in the multi-party talks, arrived in Cairo on Friday, emphasizing the seriousness of the US in seeking a resolution. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has also urged Hamas to agree to the ceasefire, emphasizing that it is in the best interest of the Palestinian people. However, the conflict has resulted in a massive humanitarian crisis in Gaza. Over 1 million Palestinians have sought refuge in the city of Rafah, near the Egyptian border. The United Nations warns that hundreds of thousands are at imminent risk if Israel launches a ground offensive in Rafah, which is densely populated with displaced civilians. Gaza health officials report over 34,600 Palestinians have been killed, while Israel claims it has killed approximately 13,000 militants. The conflict has severely damaged infrastructure in Gaza, causing shortages of food, medicine, and essential supplies. The World Food Programme reports that people in northern Gaza are experiencing famine-like conditions, prompting a call for a ceasefire to allow the unimpeded flow of aid. However, Israeli settlers have recently blocked aid convoys, and Hamas militants have commandeered some shipments. The inability to agree on objectives is a significant barrier to progress in ceasefire talks. Israel is reluctant to commit to a permanent cessation of hostilities, while Hamas remains active in Gaza. Even if a temporary ceasefire is reached, Israel plans to resume military operations in Rafah to weaken Hamas's hold on the territory. Hamas, on the other hand, insists that any agreement should include a full Israeli withdrawal and an end to the blockade that has crippled Gaza's economy. Recent reports indicate that a proposal from Egyptian mediators involves a 3-stage process, starting with a 6-week ceasefire and partial release of hostages. However, Israeli officials have reiterated that their goal remains eliminating Hamas as a military threat, complicating the potential for a lasting agreement. Intense international pressure to secure a ceasefire coincides with growing public frustration. In Tel Aviv, families of the hostages have rallied, demanding that the government do more to secure their release, even if it means ending the war. Some families have criticized Netanyahu for prolonging the conflict to achieve his political goals. Despite these calls, Israeli officials remain steadfast in their objectives, arguing that Hamas is responsible for the continued conflict due to its refusal to meet Israel's demands. While the ceasefire talks in Cairo demonstrate progress, they have not yet yielded a definitive breakthrough. The humanitarian crisis in Gaza, coupled with international pressure, has added urgency to the negotiations. Yet the diverging objectives of Israel and Hamas regarding the conflict's continuation pose significant challenges to reaching a long-term solution. The conflict's resolution remains uncertain, and diplomats face an uphill battle to bridge these deep divides.